So it's a fact that the oceans and the seas are rising, and they talk in terms of global warming, and perhaps think in terms that the caps and the snow, the ice around the peaks or the Arctic zones are melting so that the seas are getting higher. And there is the fact that the seas might be getting higher. However, it's not only the global warming and the melting caps that would make the waters rise. Now, you got to remember that the earth was flooded once, and water came from above, water came from beneath, joined with the water that was in the earth, and so it flooded, covered everything, all the top mountains, Himalaya, everything, covered everything. And then the water abated. Um, I guess after the flood, because the water came from above, which was acting as an insulator and in other words, it had its temperature control function. During the days, it would hot up, and at night, it would give out its warmth, so keep the earth at a reasonable temperature. Because remember, people having homes and big suits and comforters and blankets and so on. Now, the heat would come down and the cold would go up. And so, what happened to all the water that drowned the earth and covered even the Himalaya mountains? Well, some were contracted into the snow caps and the mountains and in the Arctic circles, and also some gone up to form clouds which will come down in rain. So if all the water were to melt from the ice and the mountains and so on, and all the clouds should come down in rain, then probably the earth will be flooded again. But God promised that the earth will not be destroyed by a flood. But I think we're overlooking another important principle here. Now, deforestation, I think, is one of the major culprits, more than the heat melting the snow caps on the mountains and the Arctic zones. You see, you could see the same right now on the road in Puerto Rico. When it rains, around the tree is wet on the road, but on the tree you could still shelter there for a little bit, and then the water would start dripping down, dripping down, dripping down, dripping down, and if it continues to rain, probably to drip heavier. So long time ago, before we built all these houses and all these concrete pavements and all these roads, there were trees everywhere. And so when it rained, a lot of the water would stay up in the trees and evaporate back and go back up into the sky. And what dropped down came down so slow that there was no opportunity to accumulate and run at a flood. It will soak into the earth because remember the trees were there and the leaves fell and the soil under there is kind of like different. It wasn't compact, and so the water will settle down and then go into the water streams and come up in springs and so on. So I think the deforestation and cutting down trees is a major reason why we have this because when the rain falls, it just congregates, flood up, and then goes straight to the sea. Another thing, we should be not allowing all this water to go back to the sea because a lot of places don't have water, and we should be managing water very, very prudently. I understand in certain countries, I think it's St. Thomas or something like that, you can't build a house except you have a cistern that will collect water. So why the advanced world can't do that? Why not the advanced world? Because St. Thomas is a part of America. But why on the mainland it isn't done? This will absorb a lot of the water from running off stream and get into the ocean. And then they can have a systematic way of people allowing this to go out into the drain, and then they collect it down the water collection. When they need more, they order or ask some other residences to let the water come out. That would be a fine way of controlling the water and avoiding floods. And furthermore, like in the Mississippi, I mean, so much water going out to the ocean. The ocean doesn't need the water. The Bay of Gulf of Mexico doesn't need the water. We could be moving this water around. Sometimes there's flood, there's need water wherever. You just shift it around. California has a big insatiable need and desire for water, for industries and so on. We could pump it from wherever. The Colorado River is not sufficient for the whole of the Northwest out there. And so I think that is why we have in higher, tides. Not higher tides. It's kind of like coastal flooding.